Something feels different in Buffalo right now, and it's not just the weather. There is a heavy, quiet tension hanging over Orchard Park because we all know the truth. The window is wide open, but for how much longer, every move feels like a massive gamble on Josh Allen's prime. If you're a real member of the Bills Mafia, and you live for this team, you need to subscribe right now. We are chasing that elusive Super Bowl, and the stakes have never been higher. Something big is happening behind the scenes, and it's time we finally talked about it. The news finally broke, and it's the kind of move that makes you stop and really think about where this franchise is headed. The Buffalo Bills have officially traded for DJ Moore. Now, on the surface, this feels like a massive win because we've all watched Josh Allen carry this entire offense on his back for way too long. Last season, every single yard felt like a battle. It was exhausting to watch. We needed someone who could actually take the pressure off, and Moore is that guy who has that deep history with Joe Brady from their time together in Carolina. But here is the thing that's keeping me up at night. The Bills gave up a second-round pick for him. For a guy whose stats have been dipping, that is a huge price to pay. Some people are criticizing Brandon Beane for this, saying we overpaid for a name rather than production. But honestly, when you look at our depth chart, who else is there? Aside from Khalil Shakir, we were looking at a room that didn't scare anyone. Now this is where it gets interesting, because this isn't just about adding a receiver. It's about the philosophy of this team changing right before our eyes. We are seeing a front office that is tired of waiting. They are aggressive, maybe even desperate, to find that missing piece that turns a great offense into an unstoppable one. You can feel the shift in the facility. It's like the team knows the current formula wasn't enough to get past the heavy hitters in the AFC. By bringing in Moore, they are betting everything on Joe Brady's ability to unlock the version of DJ we saw years ago. But what happens if he doesn't? What if those declining numbers weren't just a product of bad quarterback play in Chicago or Carolina? That is the risk that has everyone in Buffalo holding their breath. We want to believe this is the spark, the move that finally lets Josh breathe in the pocket. But the tension is real because we've seen this story before. We've seen the veteran acquisitions that were supposed to be the answer, only to watch them fade when the lights got the brightest. This move for Moore is more than just a trade. It's a statement of intense intent. But it doesn't stop with DJ Moore. And that's why the atmosphere around the Bills right now feels so volatile. There is a sense that the front office isn't done, and the name that keeps surfacing is DeAndre Hopkins. Now just think about that for a second. We are talking about a guy with 5 Pro Bowls and 3 All-Pro selections. On paper, a duo of Moore and Hopkins alongside Shakir sounds like a Madden dream. But this is where the emotional analysis really kicks in for us as fans. The pressure in that building is at an all-time high. CBS Sports' Jordan Dajani hit the nail on the head when he pointed out that the firing of Sean McDermott changed everything. It sent a shockwave through the organization. It told everyone that good enough isn't the standard anymore. It's Super Bowl or bust. And that puts an incredible amount of weight on the shoulders of Brandon Beane and Joe Brady. They are under the microscope. Dajani is pushing the idea that Moore isn't enough to move the needle for a championship run. He thinks we need that veteran presence like Hopkins to truly compete. But is that a dream or a potential nightmare? When you look at Hopkins lately, the numbers are jarring. He's 34. He's coming off career lows with the Ravens. He barely made an impact in the postseason. Is he the legendary playmaker we remember? Or are we just chasing a ghost of the past because we're scared of coming up short again? This is the uncertainty that defines being a Bills fan right now. We are caught between the excitement of adding big names and the terrifying reality of roster mismanagement. If we bring in Hopkins, what does that do to the development of a guy like Skylar Bell? There's a buzz that the rookie could provide a spark. But in a win-now environment, do you trust a 4th rounder or a declining legend? The consequences of getting this wrong are devastating. If this veteran-heavy approach fails, we aren't just losing games, we are wasting the best years of the greatest quarterback this franchise has ever seen. The tension is thick because every decision feels so heavy. This is where things change, because we have to look at the cold, hard reality of what this really means for the Buffalo Bills. If the rumors about Hopkins are true, and if the Moore trade is just the beginning, we are looking at a complete identity shift. We are moving away from the grow-your-own talent philosophy that built this era and moving toward a mercenary-style roster. And that's the biggest question. Does this actually work in the modern NFL? Because this could become something much bigger than just a few wide receiver transactions. We are seeing a team that is terrified of the window closing. When you look at Hopkins' production last year with the Titans and the Chiefs, it was average at best. Then he goes to Baltimore and basically disappears. Why would Buffalo be different? That is the emotional loop we keep running into. We want the name, we want the highlight reels, but we need the production. If Moore struggles and Hopkins comes in and shows his age, the entire offense collapses. It's a house of cards built on the hope that these veterans have one last run in them. And the Super Bowl pressure is making everyone act differently. You can feel it in the way the front office talks, and the way the fans are reacting. We are desperate for a savior. We are looking at Josh Allen and saying, we've given you the tools, now go do it. But are these the right tools? The emotional escalation here is that we are gambling our future draft capital and our cap space on players who might be past their prime. It's a high-stakes poker game where the Bills have gone all in before the flop is even dealt. If Hopkins ends up in a Bills uniform, the expectations will be astronomical. But so will the risk of a total chemistry meltdown. How do you keep all these egos happy? How do you ensure that Joe Brady can actually design a scheme that works for everyone? This isn't just about football anymore. It's about the legacy of this entire era of Bills football. If this gamble doesn't pay off, the fallout will be felt for a very long time. I'm going to be honest with you guys, this actually worries me. I want to be the guy who says everything is going to be perfect, but I've been watching this team too long to ignore the red flags. Brandon Beane is a great GM, but his track record with veteran receivers lately has been, well, let's call it questionable. I think fans should pay attention to what happened with Amari Cooper. We were all hyped for that trade in 2024. We thought he was the missing link, but he struggled to find his footing, his numbers were down, and by the time the playoffs rolled around, he was barely a factor. And then there was Brandon Cooks in 2025. Yeah, he had a couple of big catches, but the drops at the worst possible moments were killers. It feels like we keep trying to buy our way out of a problem that requires a more organic solution. Now we're asking DJ Moore to buck that trend. I really like this move in theory because Moore is a dog, and he plays with an edge we need. But expecting him to be the WR1 we've been missing is a lot of pressure. And if we add Hopkins on top of that, I'm genuinely concerned we're just collecting names instead of building a team. This could be incredible if Moore finds his rhythm and Hopkins finds the fountain of youth. It could be the greatest offense in the league, but it could also become a problem where we have an aging, slow receiving core that can't create separation for Josh. I'm torn because I see the vision, but the execution in the past hasn't been there. We are in this weird space of cautious optimism where every piece of news feels like a double-edged sword. I want to believe Joe Brady has a plan that involves Moore and potentially another veteran, but we've seen these dream teams fail before. The insider fan perspective is that we are all nervous. We're all waiting for the other shoe to drop. Is this the move that finally gets us over the hump? Or are we just making moves for the sake of making moves because the seat is getting hot for everyone in management? Go Bills! The road ahead for the Buffalo Bills has never felt more uncertain, yet more exciting at the same time. We are standing at a crossroads. One path leads to the glory we've been dreaming of since the 90s, and the other leads to a massive organizational reset. The DJ Moore trade is just the first domino. Whether or not DeAndre Hopkins follows him to Western New York, the message is clear. The Bills are not playing it safe anymore. They are pushing all their chips to the middle of the table. But as fans, we have to ask ourselves, is this the right way to build around Josh Allen? Are we putting too much faith in the past and not enough in the future? The story is far from over, and every practice, every preseason snap, and every roster cut is going to be magnified under the intense heat of these expectations. Something bigger is still coming, I can feel it. The roster is still fluid, and the pressure is only going to mount as we get closer to kickoff. I want to hear from you, the real Bills Mafia. Does DJ Moore move the needle enough for you? Should we take the gamble on DeAndre Hopkins, or is that a mistake waiting to happen? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, let's get into it. If you bleed red, white, and blue, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the future of this team. We're in this together. Go Bills!